In Econ 101 done properly, there is a state that has to be built. If there's no state, the right strategy for people is a mixture of production and predation, violence. Fragile states matter in two different respects. One is they are the epicenters of human tragedy. Fragile states are where people's lives are most miserable, reduced both in material circumstances, they're very poor, and in life as lived day to day, they're not safe. Fragile states produce spillovers, especially to their neighbors, but sometimes to everybody. And so a fragile state not only is a tragedy for its own population, it's a nightmare for others. A lot of the big policy ideas of the last few years have been on accountability of government to citizens through elections. Well, we've researched that, and we see that those same techniques hold an election, if you do it in many fragile states, don't work. They produce a flawed election where whoever wins is accused of cheating, and may well have done so, and so you don't get a cohesive acceptance that power is legitimate, and so power doesn't turn into authority. The other dimension of an effective state is that the basic components of the bureaucracy, like a tax administration, public infrastructure services, education services, that those public services actually work properly. And in most fragile states, they're very far from that. The organizations have failed to motivate their staff, failed to organize their workforces in such a way that they deliver services in a productive fashion. And so at the heart of state fragility are these two failures: the failure to become a legitimate authority and the failure to get bureaucracies to deliver effective services. For me, the two focal points for research, one is this question of how do we turn power into authority? Under what circumstances is power better accepted? And the other big research question is how do we get better motivation in a public sector workforce? If policymakers take two things away, it's one is that legitimacy is something that's gradually built by being effective rather than achieved by being anointed in an election process. The other takeaway is that however much power you think you have, in many domains you've no more power than the effectiveness of the bureaucracies on which you're nominally in charge.